I know how precious that opportunity, a country that had an almost miraculous reconstruction after the war, racing to industrialization, can now actually make this also more human as well. Any city, we only have one chance, so we can't waste it. That's our goal, and there are many people who want that.
네, 안녕하세요 왓슨 여러분. 이번 시간에는 영국이 배출한 세계적인 건축가죠, 토마스 헤더윅을 저희 사무실에 모시고서 그의 건축 철학에 대해서 또 건축 프로젝트에 대해서 이야기 나눠보도록 하는 시간입니다. Thank you for visiting us, our office. It was really a pleasure to have you here.
Thank you.
This is the second time to see you. We met at the gala dinner for your exhibition in the Seoul Station.
I thought I recognized you. Yes. I think we weren't properly right. Okay.
Most of all, I visited your office 4 years ago, but your office was so busy at the time, and so we didn't have a chance.
Oh no. You've got me to shame me on your program.
No. I mean, it was really a nice experience because it was like 9:30 in the morning, and your staff members treated really well.
Oh, great. Great.
I was so impressed because they brought us really nice pancake with the blueberry on the top.
Oh, yeah.
And a very nice tea.
I'll tell them.
Yeah, you should. So we're gonna start with the easy question. What made you to become an architect?
The 1970s, the 1980s, the 60s, there were some amazing visions of the future that were being made.
Oh yeah, very optimistic.
They actually didn't feel good.
Yeah.
So in your head, they're good. But when you actually stand next to the places that logic drove, so-called rational, based on transportation, daylight, air, constructional efficiency. Actually, as humans, we don't actually admire efficiency for our lives. We like particularity. And it felt to me that we have big problems in the way we build cities and towns. We think we're cleverer than ever, but actually, we've built some terrible, terrible things. And terrible because we demolish them again because nobody cares. I think in Seoul, the average age of a commercial building was only 30 years. In the UK, it's 40 years. In China, it's about 36 years. I mean, the carbon, to give a sense of proportion, it's 5 kilos of carbon that are released into the atmosphere to make a Big Mac. But to build a smallish skyscraper, I think it's 23 million Big Mac and 250 tons of carbon to put a rocket into space. The average age is 40 years in the UK. So that gets demolished. All that carbon, again. And so, in summary, it felt to me something weird had happened in the last 80 years. There were many amazing things about industrialization and modernization, but we stripped culture off our buildings, and that we needed to put culture back into the outsides of our buildings. Not make crazy shapes, but just put stories. The head urban designer of Singapore, she said to me, buildings don't tell stories anymore. And it's so powerful. So rather than an academic focus, I'm interested in how you balance that with an emotion focus.
I see. So when did you decide to become an architect?
I started by looking at buildings, and I interviewed many educators, builders, architects, and trying to think, who does this? Like, why do they do this? And so I spent a summer driving my car, and I put watermelons, big watermelons in the back, and I'd go interview and give a watermelon to say thank you. And I learned some big lessons then. At first, I learned how hard it is to build any building, but also I learned the world of building design had become detached from reality. All the people I met had never mixed concrete, had never laid a brick. So you guys are making the biggest objects in the world, and you're not interested in making. You've never made anything in your life. You have no craft sensibility. That explains to me why we have emotionally dead
I see.
buildings again and again. And it became clear architecture has had a problem that it is too much top down. Like the public are very ignorant.
Yeah.
If they don't love my work, they're stupid.
Yeah.
Rather than thinking, my job is to serve them.
Yeah.
I'm a public servant. And if you're not fascinated by emotion, it's not logical. You're making useless buildings. So I'm trying to explore that. And my studio has been going for 30 years. It goes fast. You know, buildings take so long.
I know.
So you just keep going, you just keep going, you
Yeah.
just keep going.
Yeah.
But in a way now I'm having my hardest project,
Yeah.
and maybe it's your hardest project too, is creating an organization. Because it's not about me,
Yeah, of course. Yes.
it's growing a team,
Yes.
bring people together,
Right.
bring amazing consultants together, collaborators together, and commissioners together, and city officials together. Your job is just always trying to get people together
Of course. Yeah.
to try to have the right conversation. And
I cannot agree more about the idea of we have to make staff members and the teams to achieve these kind of things. I've been running my office like 17 years. It's only a half of a year.
baby office.
Yes, of course. So
But did you work for somebody else before?
I worked for Richard Meyer before I opened my office.
Yeah. Okay.
I really admire that. 30 years is a really long time, even though you're very young.
Well, I didn't work for anybody else.
That's why.
At that time in the UK, I graduated in 1994, and I didn't feel that there were people doing this thing. Thought I would try myself. So I had the handicap, like you had the advantage when I started. Nobody wanted to work with me. They were like, why would I work with you?
Yeah.
You didn't come a normal route. Like, why would I do that? And so it's only by just doing it.
Yeah, so now I know why your office is a very unique environment, because you're starting from the scratch, and
I didn't have anyone to copy.
it's
Or
very
to learn
unique,
from.
yeah. It's funny the architect has to more have an experience about the materiality. So that's why your office is more focusing on the making models. I saw really beautiful model shop in your office.
Come to my new studio. We've moved 100 meters.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, to be on the street as well, because I love that you're on the street.
Yeah.
We've got in the UK the biggest program of engaging with 11 to 14 year olds. So we've had 600 children coming through our studio.
Wow.
And children where no one in their family has been to university before. We always do projects where the maximum amount of people are engaging with them, because my passion is public. I want to make the public world we share more engaging and joyful, because I was so horrified at how unengaging whenever new bits of city are made. But we realized that my old studio that you came to wasn't public. We had our head down, we were just working. So a year and a half ago, we moved into a space on the street with our workshop going to the street. So
Great.
children can look through the window and see people making
I
things.
see.
When you're 18, you don't have a strong attitude about the world yet. So people get brainwashed, which is a weird one to say, a bit brainwashed.
Yeah.
How do you feel when you stand there? How do you feel when you walk past a building that flat, that smooth, that monotonous and plain, which maybe has a good theory, but we don't measure how it impacts the public.
Yeah.
And if the public don't like it, we think they're wrong. It's really interesting. And I think one of the things coming out of the research is finding that humans are infovores, which I'd never heard this expression.
Yeah.
You know, like you have a carnivore who eats meat. Info meaning informationvore. Actually, we're always scanning for actually millions of pieces of information. Like I'm in the room seeing the painting over there and your books, the carpet, the reflections off the surfaces. And it's really interesting when you put someone for 5 minutes in front of a very plain, flat, smooth, shiny, monotonous, anonymous, serious building, their body starts going into stress. But once you get to city scale, it actually starts to be bad for your health. So we've had a sort of health crisis but didn't realize. And it's a new phase, I think, where we can say form follows function, but emotion is a function. You know, form ever follows function came from Louis Sullivan, who was the most amazing decorative architect.
Yes, of course, yeah.
But we've, in our world of architecture, if you talk about decoration, people look at you like, don't you say I decorate anything. How dare you? Yeah. But actually now there is real information showing ornament is actually essential. And we have diversity in natural habitats. Yeah. We need that. They're not good natural habitats. It's the same with cities. And humor. Actually, your carpet is hilarious. I love, I know you are a very tasteful architect, but it's like tasteless at the same time, which is, I love. So often people are so scared to have humor.
Yeah, especially in Korea.
Yeah, and Korea's a great opportunity. I think there's some people who are really open, and we were so happy that publishers here said we must do a Korean edition.
When I have a chance to meet you personally, I want to ask this question. The Little Island, Nodal Island project, and the Shanghai Expo project, and the Shanghai 1,000 Trees project. These 4 projects have something in common, like a repetition of some elements, and then it looks like a bundle of something.
Yes.
And then when I visited your office, when I look at your mother's work, to me it looks like some fabric bundle. So is this some kind of subconsciously some influence about your design language?
Well, I'm happy you've been looking and connecting like that, and I'm thrilled that you visited the projects as well. So often on a project, you're trying to work out where can we focus, because you never have enough money. So focus the money that you have in a certain way. And with the 1,000 trees, we needed 1,000 columns anyway. It seemed normally people are always putting love into the cladding. And you don't have that much money for the cladding, so it's always like decorating the box. But we wanted to try and see whether actually nature is quite inexpensive. So could we use nature as our ornament? And we had 1,000 columns anyway. So letting the columns become a planter, and because the project was so enormous, more than 400 meters long, could we break down what could otherwise be flat and smooth with the complexity of nature, and use the structure to hold that nature, but with something you could repeat and cast. But then we put detail into the mold, so there's no cladding because the column is the structure. I'm probably not the best analyst of my own studio's work. You're probably a better analyst. Nature is a wonderful counterpoint to hard buildings. Now cities and property developers are making bigger buildings than ever. If we look at the size of Bottom, 200 years ago, the biggest buildings were only 20 meters wide. Now, 400 meters. Kills a street. You walk along a street with buildings that are 100 meters long or 70 meters long. Our research is showing boring isn't just, a bit boring. It means people won't go there. It means people won't talk. So I'm always trying to break down bigness. Even though thousands of years have gone by, our humanity is still similar. And proudly, we're working for a 9-year-old as much as a 99-year-old.
So do you have your favorite project then? So I know this is always
I think there are 2 different kinds of extremes. In a way, my favorite project was my first building, which I built 34 years ago when I was 21. And it was a pavilion because I realized no student had ever made a building in my university. And so it was a building taking a pitched roof, and it was twisting it an amount of degrees so that the sides became walls. And it was just looking at how you could make something would be rotationally symmetrical at a scale that I could achieve. So it was a pavilion. And that gave me confidence to start my studio and realize things were possible. But equally, you ask, what's my favorite project? At the moment, we've just finished a new district in Xi'an in China. So they're very, very big. I mean, there's millions of square foot of shopping space, social space, working space, living space, hotel space. But the heart of it is a social theatre. We could put details in. So the ceramic is these tables from a distance, but when you get this far away, the ceramic glazes are like looking into the heavens. Like wabi-sabi, you know, the Japanese mindset about embracing imperfection. Actually, we're all imperfect. And so having places that can have complexity and every panel is unique, and yet we have 66,000 of them. And then we also made a structure which has the gardens of the silk route, making a almost 20-story high. So that's about many, many details, but where it doesn't look like another project we've done. And it's
great.
based around sort of materials and trying to give love to the little bits, not just big things. And I think so often industry, without realizing it, doesn't give little love. We do huge, it's twisted, it's blah, blah. And we don't often have the confidence to make places humorous, extraordinary, a little weird, but actually that's rational, even though it seems irrational. So I'm interested in that funny mix.
After 30 minutes discussion, I think I know you more than before I met you.
I thought you were going to say more than I want to.
It's really, really nice to know you. And I want to hear about the experience collaboration with the other architect. For example, when you do the Google headquarters, I mean, two offices have a very different type or way of approach. Was it easy or was it tough to collaborate with other architects?
Well, we have collaborated with Foster and Partners in Shanghai on the Bund Financial Center. We're collaborating at the moment with KPF to design Changi Terminal 5, which will be one of the biggest airport terminals in the world. We are collaborating in London with a firm called Spark on Olympia, which is the big last major exhibition halls. And in the US and London, we've been collaborating with BIG. So I think my team, we're really good collaborators. For example, with the Google buildings, we do something a bit different from each other, but we just sat together and just agreed we will never tell anyone else where ideas come from. So no one can say, did this bit? Well, no, I did this bit. No.
Yeah, that kills the teamwork.
Or if you think the project's bad, we're both to blame. If you think the project's good, we're both to credit. We built 4 buildings in California, and we are nearing completion of a building in London, in King's Cross, near Coal Drops, near my studio. Those buildings can take more than 4,000 people working in them. And some people say, Thomas, you say don't do big buildings. It's one of the biggest buildings ever. Yes, but if you look at the streets, that's where it's special. We're building a very big building, but we've lifted it up. And underneath, we're building a village. And a village that doesn't have the same commercial businesses you expect, but radical community use, not just for wealthy tech employees, but very much for children working out what is going to happen in their lives, something to trigger the imagination and encouragement.
I'm going to serve you some tea. Because
So what made you start your firm?
I mean, I've been always think about starting my own firm.
But you were with Richard Meyer in the US.
In the US, yeah.
So you chose to come back here.
Yeah. The good thing was the school allowed the professor to open their own studio. Normally, Korean doesn't allow that. That's really,
That's part of the problem we've had in the education system, is that so often people are being taught by people who are
actually doing
not actually the makers of places.
Yes, exactly. For the first 10 years, I didn't have any chance to design any building in Seoul area. So all suburban area.
People need to know it's hard to get a first project, isn't it? It takes so long.
Yeah, I know. The changes happens in the writing actually. What I meant is I didn't have a chance to design building, but I had to make some money. So I write some short articles and columns for the newspapers, and then book becomes the lecture in the TV show.
And then commissions came.
Yeah, and then they come after that.
After a TV show.
Yes.
Because that's the other thing, is that because architecture has been very theorized, and actually on television and on the radio there's not much actually about building design, because we have failed to make it interesting, and yet it is so interesting.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
So I appreciate you communicating so clearly and showing, and it affects millions of people.
Exactly, yes.
So I had a radio series in the UK called Building Soul, of a conversation that isn't just about opera houses and libraries and art museums, because that's not architecture, that's a part.
Yeah.
But the buildings that surround us every day, that's the real thing, is everyday buildings. They walk along the street, they don't even look, because they sort of feel, well, I'm not a builder, I'm not a developer, I'm not a city official, I'm not an architect. So they don't even have any outrage, like, who built this? Why was that allowed to be built? It will be so good for us. They will say, give us interesting places. Actually, my hope is that we make buildings we can adapt and adjust and repair in future because people care.
Yeah.
That's a nice cup as well.
I bought
That's
it.
a lot of 3D detail,
Oh, yeah.
texture, care,
Exactly.
not flat, smooth, boring, shiny. Well, it's
Yeah.
a little shiny, but good shiny.
So I bought it from the gift shop at the Alhambra.
Oh, I've never been to the Alhambra yet. I really want to go.
I think you will really love it. Every surface of the building is some decorations and the beautiful work.
That's what's so funny, is that our industry, we enjoy historic buildings full of ornament and decoration and detail, but we can't do it ourselves. It's like, no. Irrational. But actually, it's the places everybody loves are full of ornament.
That's why you imprinting some plant-like shape in the Singapore project, in the concrete, the surface of the concrete. Yeah.
Actually, that's lots of those words, scientific diagrams. There's a lot of things in there. We worked with an artist. In the past, we would collaborate with many artists on our buildings. So the Singapore University building project, we collaborated with an artist. We put 800 of her drawings. We made 3D in the concrete. So inexpensive concrete became an artwork and had shadows and fascination, and you can look, it gives your eyes food as infovores. Have you had a chance to collaborate with artists before?
I never had a chance so far.
I think it's a great opportunity because also, if I was an artist, do you want your work to be seen by 1,000 people or 10 million people?
10 million, of course.
It's an easy answer, isn't it?
Yes.
And the buildings we design that are on streets, millions of people see them.
Sure,
So I think we need to try to find ways for them to join us and not just do the door handle, but actually affect the surfaces. And you have amazing, like I have thousands of photographs of the hanuks here.
Oh, you do?
And all the details are amazing.
It's handcrafted
The
details.
handcraft, and for me that is food. And I stayed in Hanok a couple of times. I'm interested in how we can bring some of that into modern buildings and places. Thank you for this.
I'm gonna bring that book. 네, 이렇게 생긴 겁니다. 표면부터가 이 지금 헤더윅 계속 얘기하는 뭔가 인포메이션이 있는 평범한 플레인한 것이 아닌 그런 걸로 돼 있죠. So actually I had this book and I heard that you have a new version of this book, the new
We
edition.
just published a new major update where we've got 23 of our newest and now much bigger projects. It was published last week. So I'm very happy you've got one of the original old ones, but the new one now is also able to talk much more about cities and towns. I hope it'll be a good inspiration for people. This is very much done for, it has about 700 pictures in there, and it's written for your son or daughter or your grandfather, but not in the normal architectural language. And I hope it expresses the joy and adventures. So yeah, happy it's just been published. So.
Okay, good. I will have one copy later. Can you tell me more about the Northern Ireland project? Is it well under process now, or?
It was an incredible honour to be chosen by the people of Seoul to do it. It was a long competition.
Yeah, I know.
And there were two public votes. We'd ended up thinking this is never going to happen, you know, it's never possible. And then when we were chosen, we were very big feeling of responsibility, but also excitement at the opportunity. Up till now, Nodelsum has been a place where, like, if you watch a K-drama, you know, sometimes there will be a killer plotting a murder in a car parked on Nodelsum, and you're like, That's a problem. It's always used in like K-dramas for bad stuff. I've been interested in how parks and public space are so desperately needed. I think we now know how desperately society needs to see each other. We have had an incredible digital revolution. And that revolution means that I can stay at home in bed and get a PhD, you know, study. I can stay at home and buy all the food I need. I can work from home. But our streets used to be essential. So if you wanted food, you have to walk down a street. You want to go to work, you have to walk down that street. And so streets were busy with people buying food, going to work, going to university. When streets are busy, they're safe. And the amazing urbanist Jane Jacobs, wrote beautifully about the dance of pavements and how you're safe and everyone sees each other. If Jane Jacobs was here now, and she would be talking about how you're not safe now when the less people there are, you're less safe. The 1960s, it went very wrong. A lot of the things that were built were terrible. Huge deprivation, violence, crime because of bad design and bad placemaking. Governments went, I don't have the answer. And so commercial development has been left, which means most public space is shopping space. Because that's the economic motor for making places. So I love shopping. I actually don't care about shopping, but I love shopping as an excuse for people to come together. And so I'm passionate about that. And many of my projects are taking that imperative and trying to turn it into an excuse for people coming together and celebrating each other. Parks where there's no commercial use, that's incredible. In London, we almost built a bridge, which was a garden that connected north and south together. No commercial thing at all there, but trying to give someone an extraordinary special experience in the middle of the city where you can see the city north and south. And you here in Seoul have one of the biggest rivers, city rivers in the world. London's river is 300 meters. Here, your river
1 kilometer.
It's a kilometer. It's more than 3 times. So it's like a huge divider pulling the north and south apart. And Nodelsam has a road which is the bridge, but it's so fast you don't even notice that there's an island. You just go meow, meow. And so I think opportunity is to try to make a place. It's not the north, it's not the south. It can be its own thing. And I think islands have a little bit of fantasy in them, like Little Island in New York. I wasn't asked to design an island. I was asked to design a theatre building structure on an existing design. And we said, well, why waste the money making a whole new pier that you won't notice? Why don't we forget this architecture structure? Let's make the pier and push it into the water because of the emotion. But you already have an island which has an emotion to it when you're on it, but it's not really designed at human scale and it doesn't celebrate the visitor. It's at the moment, it's just, there's some facilities. Obviously the river floods, but it doesn't feel it's as generous as it needs to be. So our focus is on generosity and the city is really serious about that. And the mayor really seemed to want to make something that is generous to the citizens of Seoul, both on the north and at the south. So I'm trying to do justice to that and meet the budget and the times and construction and flooding. And so it's a big complex project. I have lots of meetings in this week about it and we are finalizing design work for the first phase. So honestly speaking, every city would be envious of what you have here. Most cities don't have the opportunity for such a big space in the middle of their city to be given back to them because the space doesn't exist. But your river actually is this funny water desert that is there as an opportunity for many things, not just Nodelsam, but actually many things.
I know.
I don't know, are you working on any river projects?
I do.
Are you allowed to say on your video?
I'm allowed to say yacht clubhouse in the Han River.
I know. Yes, I know the project. Yes,
that one is we are doing now.
near the Olympic.
Yes, Olympic Stadium. Yeah.
Well, I think those projects bringing life back into the water desert that is the Han River actually will be so nice because the roads on each side have cut it off from the city, you know that. And so how do we get people over the roads, under the roads, past the roads? Because the best cities have people close to water. People love living near water.
One of the great ideas about the project was I watched the videos and you said there is something going on in the island, but nobody can see that. So I just making a mirror and then reflect it.
Great.
I love that idea.
Well, when we did the vessel in New York, we used a slightly coloured stainless steel.
Yeah.
And one of the things when you look up at it, you visited, didn't you? You look up, you can see, and it looks like there's strange insects moving across it, and you realise that's me looking up at it. And those reflections. So that's one of the hardest things to do, but also the things that we're excited about that I think can make a difference in the structure. So that's our goal.
Great. But nowadays the construction cost in Korea is rising up. So I think that's the biggest hurdle you will face in the future.
You're giving me doom. That's the biggest goal. Well, that's why I hope that the people of Seoul will be patient with the project, but also I think no one will fight for it as much as I will. Because I know how precious that opportunity is for any city. We only have one chance, so we can't waste it. And one thing I've tried to do with my projects is be wholehearted with them, because so often places are half-hearted or quarter-hearted, and it's like, come on, be more generous. So that's our goal, and there are many people who want that. Now we just have to get through the reality of what it takes to do that. I hope some of the amazing companies here will also sponsor it, give their time and materials and craftsmanship, because it will be there for centuries to help us. We need help. That's the only way it'll be good. And the DDP is globally very impressive project. People look and think, who did that? How did they do that? And every building doesn't have to look like that. Every building doesn't have to look like Nodelsum, but it gives a sense of aspiration and possibility to all ideas. It's also a nice balance to a country that had an almost miraculous reconstruction after the war, racing to industrialization. We can now actually make this also more human as well. My sense is that South Korea can lead the world and be useful to other countries also.
Hopefully. And then you will contribute at some point.
Well, I feel very, very privileged to be being given that chance for collaborations with people. Maybe we will collaborate together one day.
Hopefully, yes, I'd love to. Yeah,
that'd be good.
Yeah, that'd be great. You already, it's already past the...
That's quick, actually. Yeah, I thought it was only...
Yeah, I know. For me, it was a really pleasant time to chat with you. And hopefully, we will keep in touch. And then...
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. You're also a brilliant interviewer as well, because I'm there thinking, I said that. You're very good at inspiring your speakers. So
it was a really great time to chat with you. Yeah, see you again. 네, 이번 시간에는 토마스 헤더윅하고 이야기 나누는 시간 되었습니다. 다음 시간에 또 뵙도록 하겠습니다.